Mr. Delgaudio.
Thank you, Chairman York, for your gracious remarks. Thank you for not agreeing to lynch me, and I hope that I don't go too much over the rules here, and thanking you for not wanting to join the mob outside that's calling for my head. And thank you, colleagues, for not rushing the orange hat. You know, and that orange hat is a goofy little thing, you know, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm glad we have supervisor elections every 4 years. Isn't it great? You know, every 4 years, you know, we decide that election, and then the Washington Post promptly forgets about it and cancels that election. What an honor to be a substitute for Sarah Palin and Chick-fil-A in the media. The suicide bombers of the political left pull their own rings on their detonation devices as they advance on me and Sterling and all honest-to-God conservatives. The liberals blow themselves up as they approach me with their fantastic lies about what I do and what all normal, God-fearing Americans do, and I'll explain that. The liberals destroy themselves with misrepresentations, mistruth, libel, slander, exaggeration, and outright falsehoods, and victimize many innocent victims. This form of propaganda madness does no one any good, and they have failed and they will fail 4 times with me. With my style, I often give you a hyperbole alert. Okay, here it is, hyperbole alert. Around here in Washington, all you have to say is, quote, the Washington Post reports, quote unquote. The Washington Post has printed attacks on me for years. When I first came here in 1982, and probably a dozen times since I've been elected as supervisor, they opposed me and all Christians for taking a stand in support of the Boy Scouts, traditional marriage, and yes, even eating chicken at the restaurant of your choice. There's nothing new in this latest slander against me, which the Post is simply repeating, and that other organizations are simply repeating. And some well-meaning liberals have come forward to do the same thing. But this is more than an attack on my simple methods at finding support for youth sports leagues, more than an attack on non-controversial and straightforward record of winning 4 elections in Sterling. In the case of a small sports youth league, it's an attack on the accomplishments and dreams and character building of 10,000 young people who have come through the youth football system in the past 40 years and the 10,000 that will come in the next 40 years. There's a spot lamp on what I do and how I do it. That's great. Thank you, Chairman York. Thank you, colleagues. I welcome the spot lamp on the county policy and on me and how I conducted myself with the county policy. I hope it does come to light that some of the requests that I've made and some of the guidance I've received can now come to light in the public eye, that I've been following that advice. That advice has been given to me, and I appreciate it, and I've taken it to heart, and I've asked for it as early as 2007. And what makes the liberals really mad?
Mr. Delgaudio, I'm sorry, but your time is...
I ask for a point of personal privilege to allow me to finish my remarks.
Mr. Delgaudio, please, time is up.
Well, Mr. Chairman, these remarks are directed at me. This resolution is directed at me. You have made remarks about me. I ask for personal privilege.
Please quickly wrap up.
The fact that I have fought them and their liberal friends for 30 years unceasingly and apologetically. The elitist liberals demand my minority majority, the fact that my district is filled with minorities by 55%. They demand that they stop voting and demand a dictatorship like an occupying horde to be installed and imposed on Sterling as punishment. I represent a neighborhood with 60% minority while helping that community to survive. But the fact that I largely ignore the Washington Post is the most annoying thing to them, and that Loudoun itself ignores the Washington Post too. The work of raising families and keeping the peace so that families can be raised, that is the mission of this Sterling supervisor and of every supervisor, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That is a lesson bigger than all of us. That is what the Washington Post and the liberals in the media are attacking. People in Sterling, Loudoun, and Washington ignore the Post. That's why the Post and the liberals in the media are ignored and irrelevant. Helping Sterling like your life depended on it, like America depended on it, like Western civilization depended on it, like all humankind depends upon it. That's what I learned from the many men and women who devote their lives to youth sports league, like the Lower Loudoun Football League and so many others. Many families have full-time parents, but let's take a minute here and understand that these sports leagues for every sport require an army of full-time family members pouring 40 to 80 hours each week to make the entire youth sports operation function. My last sentence. For 30 years, I stand as a bright marker to the rest of the county and the country right here at your doorstep. For 4 terms, and God willing, more terms, I stand as a small David against the foul-smelling, decaying corpse of the Washington Post. I trust the good people of Sterling to know the truth by simply talking to me. I won't let misguided liberals come between me and the people. Thank you.
Further discussion on the motion, Mr. Reed.
I want to thank the chairman for being very eloquent and proactive. I am very appreciative